Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Joe. Currently I am 3 months post-op from my Nevro HF-10 permanent implant. And I want to go ahead and take some time to tell you guys, what the surgery was like, what I had to do in preparation for the surgery, and what it's been like since. Now before we go any further, I want to tell you guys that after reprogramming the unit, I'm getting a solid 70%. I mean, right now, as I sit here, I'm feeling 70% pain relief. No joke. All right, so like I mentioned, I'm feeling really great right now. I got about 70% pain relief. Some days it goes all the way up to 90. But I want to make it really clear that it wasn't always like that, and it took a lot of troubleshooting to get to the point where I'm at now. I was at the point where I really thought that this thing was just kind of a cruel joke, and it wasn't working well at all. Once they reprogrammed it, it was amazing. So what was it like before the surgery? Well, after I got the trial finished, I had such good success that the doctor wanted me back in 2 weeks. So I got the trial around mid-May, and June 1st was my implant date. So the day before I got the implant, I was already down in Phoenix, down at Mayo Clinic, and essentially what they had me doing was tons of testing. And if you guys have been through the process, you know what it's like. I mean, for me, they wanted EKGs, they wanted echocardiograms because I have a slight defect, just a heart murmur. No big deal, but they still wanted to check that out. They also had to review the x-rays, the trial information. I had to do labs and a few other things. Okay, currently it's about 8:36 a.m. May 31st, 2017. I'm down here at Mayo Clinic in Phoenix. And I'm incredibly tired. So for the initial appointments, the day before your surgery, you're probably going to have 6 to 7 different appointments. I've got 6 on the books, and I just talked to an anesthesiologist who wants to do an echocardiogram, so be prepared for, additional procedures and whatever they want you to do. They're going to hand you these patient itineraries, and I'm going to tell you where and when you've got to be. Okay, so what was it like when I arrived? I arrived at Mayo June 1st at about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I had all those tests done the previous day. I was cleared to go. I was waiting in prep for approximately 3 hours, from about 8 o'clock in the morning to 11 o'clock. And it definitely made me nervous that it was taking so long. But apparently they had to finish up an implant before mine, and so on and so forth. You guys get the idea. So what was really cool is they had me in this, I wouldn't say a flannel gown, it's more like a paper gown. And the paper gown had a really cool air conditioning and heating unit that was hooked up to it. I had this valve, and I had an air tube that I hooked up into it, and I had this really interesting remote where I could turn up the air conditioning in my actual gown, or I could turn up the heat. Well, it was June in Phoenix, so I had the AC cranked up the entire time. Okay, so right now I'm in pre-op. Currently it's about 9:20 in the morning. Had to include this because it's so cool. They've got a couple of stockings on my leg for blood constriction, a couple other bags to prevent blood clots. Got an IV in me.
And they've also got this machine that I've never seen. Hooks up to a gown that you're wearing, and it blows cold or hot air. You can actually change the temperature by this little remote. Cooler air, warmer air. It's just really cool.
And make sure that you don't have any food approximately 10 to 12 hours before you come into the surgery. So I was waiting there for 3 hours. I was very hungry, I was very nervous. I was allowed little sips of water. So after talking to about 5 or 7 different doctors and admin and a couple of different physician assistants, finally they rolled me out of the room. And at that point they injected a little bit of Versed. It's kind of like a calming agent I mentioned in some of the other videos. And I was feeling pretty calm by the time they got me into the surgical room. So at that point, they put a mask over me. I just said, "Hey, are you guys putting me out?" They said, "Yeah." Start counting. 1, 2, and I was completely out. I didn't wake up until probably about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was definitely in a lot of pain in the recovery center. They ended up giving me fentanyl and Dilaudid, I think, and they gave me, I don't know, 1 dose every 15 or 20 minutes. Did a pretty good job at taking care of the pain. So the first night when I got back home to the hotel, I could not sit down. I could lay down on my left-hand side, but I couldn't lay down on my right. I was having a really hard time laying back too, because the surgery will cut you open in 2 places.
Okay, everybody, currently we're about 24 hours out from the surgery. I'm doing okay. My pain's being controlled. Seems like about every 4 hours the pain seems to get to a point where it's extremely uncomfortable, and that's when I can take the medication and kind of calm things back down. So currently I'm at max medication, but you know, I'm feeling relatively comfortable. I can definitely feel that there's a bulge in my back. It's pretty weird. My grandfather had a pacemaker, and he let me feel it one time, and it was really kind of freaky feeling that he had something under his skin, and that's kind of the same thing that I've got going on right now. I can feel it back there. It's right up above my belt line, and I've been able to sit down. It really doesn't feel too awkward, but it really does hurt when, you know, you're leaning back into the staples. You know, they're going to be in there another 2 weeks, and yeah, that's when we'll get the unit turned on. So 24 hours out, things are going well. I'm just kind of relaxing here in my hotel. And
so what they do essentially is they open up about 4 inches and they make a pocket out of your fat to slide the unit into, and then they tunnel a couple of wires up to another incision where they actually bring the wires up into your thoracic spine. So I had a 4-inch incision and approximately 2.5-inch incision midway up my back. I want to say for the first 2 or 3 days I couldn't shower. Let me back that up. You can't shower until they actually take your staples out. They don't want you showering for about 2 weeks. So basically what I had to do, finally after 2 days in the hospital, I could finally sit down and I could finally go into the bathroom. I wetted some towels and I basically just gave myself a little sponge bath and washed my hair the best I could. I had a really good friend from Prescott pick me up and drive me all the way back here. I really appreciated that. And at this point the unit wasn't turned on. So one of the frustrations that I had initially was that they weren't going to turn the unit on for 2 weeks. And I thought to myself, you know, I've gone through all this. Why aren't you guys turning on the unit? And they said, listen, here's the thing, Joe. You've got staples holding your scars together right now, okay? They're not sutures, they're not stitches, they're metal staples. And the thing with this unit is you're not going to be able to charge it through your skin if you have staples on the top of your epidermis. So okay, that made a little bit more sense to me, and I went along with it. So let's go ahead and fast forward 2 weeks to June 14th. June 14th is the day when they finally took the staples out and they turned the unit on. I'm not sure exactly why they didn't program the unit right then and there, because I had a lot of problems at first. I'll get to those in just a minute. But you know, they went ahead and took the staples out. It didn't really hurt that much. My scars looked kind of horrendous. They were red, purple. I'll put a couple of pictures up of the before and after photos. I've been using a product called Scar Away. They're like little silicone band-aids that you put across them, and I think they've done a pretty good job so far. When I got home, I started trying the programs out, and I had to go very slowly. Another annoying, really annoying part of this unit is that you have to go very slowly. So you start with program 1, level 1. You wait 2 days, 48 hours, until you can turn it to level 2, and then 3, and then 4, so on and so forth until you get into the other programs. I didn't like that very much because at first I felt no pain relief whatsoever. For those of you guys who are going through the trial for the first time, and you know you've got the implant, I would definitely recommend that you keep a daily pain journal, and you know, write down which level you were at. Where were you feeling pain most? Was it in your back? Was it in your rear end? Was it in your legs? And that's exactly what I did. So okay, here's my post-surgery log. Wednesday, June 14th. No relief. This continued on all the way through Monday, June 26th. I felt zero relief on the first program and the first part of the second program. I was really getting frustrated by this point. So what happened on Saturday, July 1st was I finally got to program 2, level 5. I noted that my pain relief was very good. The pain in my legs were gone. Pain in the rear end is reduced, and my back pain remains. So I had very similar results for the rest of program 2 and the beginning of program 3 as well. Alright, now we're up to Monday, July 17th, and this is what I wrote. Got much improved relief, about 40% overall, until Friday, July 14th. Okay, so I walked 2 miles Thursday morning, and I drove to Phoenix on Friday. My legs and my rear end were killing me after only 1 hour of driving. Pain relief sucks so bad, I'm turning the unit all the way down just to see where my relief is really at. I mean, at this point, I didn't know if my pain relief was a phantom or, you know, if this unit wasn't working at all. I got really frustrated.
Okay, it's July 14th. I'm down in Phoenix right now. I'm obviously in my car, parked. I didn't want to take a video on the highway, but I've been driving for about 2.5 hours now, and my rear end is killing me. I mean, I got sciatica going all through my buttocks, all the way down to my ankle in my right leg. So I'm on program 3, level 5. I was getting really good relief when I was at home, you know, not really doing too much. but sitting down for 45 to 50 minutes, that's when it first started. That's when the pain started coming back, and now that I've been on the road for a few more hours, it's even worse. So I'm disappointed.
When I'm really disturbed, I'll write down what's going on with me, and then I'll go ahead and share that with a trusted friend, and hopefully they can provide some insight on my situation. So here's what I wrote, and this is Friday, July 21st, and the inventory was titled Pain and Agony. I drove to Walmart tonight. I cried all the way back and halfway through the demon walk I took. Another thing I do when I get disturbed is I go for a walk. I try to do something physical to kind of get my mind off of what I'm going through. I wrote that I'm very distressed and distraught that my Nevro unit isn't working, at least not half as well as the trial. I feel like I've been tricked, like this is some evil joke. It seems like false advertising. Why the hell does the permanent implant not work as well as the trial? It makes no sense. I was at a really, really low point. And it was at this point I called my Nevro rep down in Phoenix, Carrie, and I said, listen, this thing isn't working at all. You know, I'm getting a little bit of relief, like 40% most of the time, but I've also got these times where there's no relief at all, and I have no idea what the problem is. So finally, I ended up heading down there on August 5th. So here's what I had to say. Friday, August 4th. A Nevro rep, a local, one more time. Okay, so here's what happened down at Mayo. Friday, the 4th of August, a Nevro rep.
Can't say the name, can't say the name, can't say the name, can't say the name.
And, she did something that was called Paresthesia Testing, where, and apparently only the Nevro reps can do this, but they can turn on a function in the implant that makes you feel where the electricity is going to in your body. And I was shocked with the results. She discovered that programs 1 and 2 were stimulating my left leg only, and none of the relief was drifting over to the right side. However, program 3 was transferring approximately 15% into my right leg, which was giving me that 40%. So another thing she discovered was that the left lead on the left-hand side of my spinal column was turned all the way on, but it was completely ineffective because most of my pain is right down the center line and slightly off to the right. So the right lead was activated and the left one was turned off. Alright, so the very first day after having the reprogramming session, I woke up without crushing back pain. Pain relief already rivals the old programming. So that was a very good thing. Okay, so now I'm going to fast forward all the way to Monday, August 14th. Today I woke up with 70 to 80% pain relief. However, I can still feel the pain underneath still. Later on, I took a half-hour hike up a hill in Walker, Arizona, did some goal panning, and came back down about, I want to say, 2 hours of activity. And
Hey everybody, how you doing? Currently it's August 14th. I'm on my new programming, and I woke up this morning with about 70 or 80% pain relief, and I just basically wanted to see how my body would hold up going on a little hike. So the hike I'm doing right now is maybe 300 or 400 feet. And if you're in shape, it takes you 10-15 minutes to climb. If you're not in shape, like I'm not, it takes about a half an hour. Normally this kind of thing, I would never be willing to do this. Last time I went up and did this was, I want to say about 2 years ago. And I came home and I was in pain all night long. And I want to see what that looks like today. I'll let you know.
Alright, so the very next day after the hike, Tuesday, August 15th, I woke up with an estimated 75% relief. Felt great all day. Now let's see, Saturday, August 19th. I woke with very good pain relief today, probably around 75 to 80%. Let's see, I'll stay for a little while here at my program. I was at Program 2, Level 3. Now remember, these are new programs for me. I mean, they were completely redone. I noted that bending and reaching, my mobility increased. And what I was finding by this time, which was only about 10 days to 2 weeks ago, was that I could get in and out of bed without having to support myself, without having to roll over very carefully and then support myself while I'm getting out of bed. I'm sure you guys know exactly what that feels like. And you know, if I have to pick something up off the ground now, I can do it without supporting, you know, my back with one hand on my knee or something. I mean, for example, oops, you know, I dropped something. I'm going to have to bend over and pick it up. I used to have to do something like this. Put my hands on my thigh, bend down really easy, keep one hand on this thigh, pick it up, come up very slowly. And I found that now I don't have to do that anymore. If I need to pick something up, if I need to clean my house, I just do it. That's amazing. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that's amazing to me that I can do that. I can literally just, no pain, no pain, no pain at all. I'm touching my toes. No problem at all. I'm not kidding you guys when I say that this is working for me, and it's the only thing that I've ever used. It's not a gimmick, or, you know, it only works for a little while, like getting an epidural shot. You know, those feel great for 2 or 3 days, but it doesn't last. Thursday, August 31st. My pain relief has been wonderful today. I felt 90% pain relief. Yesterday I took a 40-minute bike ride. I haven't done that in over a year. The only negative thing was on Wednesday when my unit zapped me several times near my implant site, but disappeared after 2 hours. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys about some of the negative things that I've encountered with this unit. Alright. So like I mentioned in previous videos, this is not like a fusion surgery, but it still is a major surgery. I have really big scars back there now. You do have to charge the unit every single day because it's using a much higher frequency than the old stimulators. It's very simple. You know, I've done this on my other videos. All you do is turn this unit on. You take your pad, put it over your implant, the lights come up, and we're charging. I mean, it's really that simple. It works through Bluetooth. It's a really cool piece of technology. I wish I didn't have to do it every day. I mean, that's definitely a downside. Usually I just kind of lay down at night and you know, lay down on on top of this. The scars are still healing after 3 months. They're definitely sore, but they're not stinging sore anymore. If I rub against anything, it kind of hurts, and you know, I found that to be kind of difficult. Another downside with this unit, I noticed when I'm walking more than a half an hour, I can kind of feel that the unit, I mean, it doesn't move up and down, but the area where the unit is moves up and down as you're walking. So there's definitely been some pain when I'm walking for more than a half an hour. And it definitely hurts at the implant, like I can feel it hurt back there, but it's only implant pain. It's not normal, you know, back pain like it usually would be. Mentioned a couple of minutes ago that the unit zapped me. So what do I mean by it zapped me? Basically, near the implant site, every once in a while I would get a small trickle of electricity that would kind of zap me. Happened, I want to say, like 10 times over the course of 2 hours. It was uncomfortable. I was thinking about calling the Nevro rep about it, but it disappeared and it hasn't come back in 2 days. So I'm guessing it's just kind of a fluke, but you know, be aware that this kind of thing can happen. Another downside that I saw in the Nevro forums was that this lady had gotten the implant and was working great for her. I mean, it was like 70% pain relief until she started having charging problems. And when the charging problems occurred, her pain relief went down to 50%. She couldn't get any answers from the Nevro reps, and at the time of her last post, they were talking about having to put in a new battery. I mean, that would really suck, having to get a new battery put in so shortly afterward. These units are supposed to last, I want to say, about 10 years. So when I'm 42 years old, I'll have to go back in. They're going to have to cut me open all over again, and they're just going to swap the unit out for a brand new one. So what else do I want to tell you guys? I mean, I had a really good day today. I had a very long day. I had a fellowship meeting tonight that lasted about 2.5 hours. I'm the secretary. You know, I make the announcements. We had a business meeting afterward, and I also spoke for about 10 minutes. So I was in a chair for, I don't know, 2.5 hours. Didn't feel any pain. Right now, like I mentioned, I'm at about 70% pain relief right now as I'm talking to you guys. There's still soreness, and I can still feel the pain underneath. You know, from what I can tell, the unit is not going to disappear your pain. It hasn't disappeared my pain, and I didn't go into this thinking it was going to be a complete relief, although that would be great, right? Basically what it does is it takes away the worst part. It takes away the worst part of your pain, and you're able to live a more functional life. You're able to live an improved lifestyle from what you were doing before. I mean, for example, now I can exercise 3 or 4 times a week, and I don't need to worry about how I'm going to feel when I get back. I don't need to worry about waking up the next morning and going, oh crap, I'm in too much pain to go to work today. I can just get up and I can go. So for that reason alone, I mean, this unit has been a real godsend. Yeah. You know, what's the future going to hold for me? And if I were to be honest with you guys, I have no idea. Living in daily 24-hour pain for the last 10 or 11 years has completely reshaped who I am. It's reshaped the way I think, who I am as a person, and especially what kind of physical activities I can and cannot do. I don't know about anyone else who's gone through, you know, the Nevro implant, but here's my experience. my mind is so programmed and conditioned to my back pain that every time I roll out of the bed, every time I get out of the car, every time I pick up my lovely cat Bill.
Meow. Meow. Meow.
You guys remember him? Every time I pick him up, I still have alarm bells that go off in my head that say, hey, listen, don't do that. Be careful. Don't you understand, how much pain you're going to be in after you do this? So, and I'm finding as, I have more and more days of being relatively pain-free that I can do those things without an issue. I mean, I can pick Bill up. I can roll out of bed without having to support myself. And I've been able to do things that I haven't been able to do in years. I don't ever think I'll get back to the point where I feel comfortable jogging. I used to love jogging. I used to jog 4 times a week, but I do feel comfortable now getting on an elliptical, getting on a stair stepper, and riding a bicycle. After I get done with this video, I'm actually going out for a half-hour bike ride, and I'm expecting the same exact thing that happened last time, that I'm going to worry about being in pain, but I'm not actually going to wake up in pain. That's really one of the best gifts about this unit, is that it keeps surprising you. All right, last thing I want to mention is, if you've gotten the implant and you're not getting really good results, don't give up. Keep trying until you get through all the programs. If you've gotten through all the programs and all the levels and you're still not getting the pain relief you feel that you should be getting, contact your Nevro rep immediately. Don't lose too much heart, because they can program this unit in so many different ways. It just blows my mind what they can do with it. So one more thing I'd like to highly recommend is that when you get your staples taken out and when you get your unit turned on, ask your Nevro rep if you could do paresthesia testing right then and there. It's important to note that Nevro has their own protocols and their own way of doing things, but just say to them, listen, before I leave here today, I want to make sure that my programs are targeting the areas of my pain and that I know we're going to have good results. With that being said, Nevro has their own different protocols and algorithms that they follow. They are very good people. They are only here to help you. In my own personal case, I'm not sure why it wasn't done, but I am sure that there's a good reason, and that they thought that they were leaving me that day with the best programs in mind. I do know that, but I also know that if we had done the testing right then and there, we would have been sure. So give this thing a chance, give it time, listen to your reps. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.